Hello and welcome to part two of A Life Like No Other. There is more drama going on. Cartienne, one of your favorite characters, she's in trouble, girl. You in trouble, girl. So, before I get started and I give my little acknowledgments, let me start with I am giving a shout out to three West African countries after I did my ancestry DNA stuff. I found out that Angola, Ghana, and Senegal were the top three. So I am a Bantu queen, and I am from the Akan tribe of Ghana. But Bantu is mainly my ethnic group. I always knew I was a high percentage of African, but so I want to give a shout out to those three. Also, I want to thank my readers, listeners, and audience for their listening in and participating, and the people that gave me some reviews and acknowledgments when I first did this book 3 years ago, and it ended up on Audible. Sorry, something caught my attention over there. Anyway, and G Rock, you know what? You rock, G Rock. You rock. That music, there's more music. His music is gonna be throughout. So it's gonna be mostly theme music. It's not the music that they're singing per se until some other stuff happened here. But the music, the theme music and some of the scene music, well, all of the scene music is his. So you are really capturing people with this music, G Rock. You really are. And, somebody told me, I hate to break it to you, Miranda, but that person's music is better than yours. Not saying that yours ain't good. I'm just saying that it seemed like it go with your music. It go with your story better. And I agree because I'm one that's going to sit up here and I will collaborate with other artists. Periods, point, flying, flipping, blank. I will sit here and I don't. I'm not a jack of all trades. I mean, there's times when I've had to do stuff because there was nobody else around to do it at the time, and maybe I needed it done. But if somebody else is there and their stuff is working better than mine, you best believe that I'm going to ask them for some help. So, with all that being said, let me go ahead and get started. A Life Like No Other, Part 2. All right, and have a good Friday night. Bye-bye. I'll see you on the other side. Chapter 8, Bonding Time. Yolanda Preston. Come on, Wani, I yelled from the bottom of the stairs. Our driver was waiting on us. A 9-passenger limo was sitting outside with its engine running. Ruda, our driver, was an impatient, grouchy man. Nikita passed me on her way out the door. She just turned 14 and had begun recording her own material in Uncle's studio. We'd recently come off our world tour. After getting some rest, we thought it was time to take a short break. I say short because Patrice had new material for us, and soon it will be time to hustle again back into the studio. Wani finally made it downstairs. You almost got left behind, you know that? I told you I was coming. Rudith is getting paid, so he needs to chill for real though. We climbed into the limo and the car made its way off the property. I was a little nervous about how this would go down, but we had to do it. All 5 of us had to be there for this. And I finally tracked down Cartienne. Since coming off the tour, she'd been away from home more than she should have. Mama no longer had a real hold on her. But Towanda, Nikki, and I did what we were supposed to do with regards respecting our mother. Our driver got on I-495 and headed south towards Gaithersburg. Cardi and Tessa started singing Lady Marmalade by Patti LaBelle, making me laugh. Tessa really could sound like Patti. She had that pitch, whereas Cardi could sing some of Chaka Khan's songs really well. We rode for nearly 30 minutes before the limo took the exit, went another 5 miles through town, and turned into an upscale development. My heart pounded the entire time, but he knew we were coming. Wow, nice house, Wani said as we pulled into the driveway of a colonial-style 5-bedroom house with a 2-car garage. It was a nice house, just not as big as the one Uncle bought us. Dion and I had been house hunting. We were looking to buy in Charles County area because it was more country than suburban. We hopped out. Be nice, Wani, I told her. Girl, ain't nobody thinking about Marie Alice. We belong here. This our dad's house. Before we even got to the front door, it swung open and an 8-year-old bounded out and towards us. Hey! She bellowed, putting her arms around me, almost knocking me down. I was so happy she recognized us. I watch your videos all the time. I want to come over your house, she said. Well, we'll see, Alice. She was a miniature version of Nikki, jet hair that was pulled into 2 long pigtails past her shoulders and those thick eyelashes and dark eyes. They both looked just like our father. David Devereaux, our dad, made his way outside. A 6-year-old closely by his side, that was Darcelle. She was not as friendly as Alice, but that was okay. She was the very youngest, and she could get away with that. Hi, Daddy, Cardi said, hugging him. Afterwards, Nikki and Tessa hugged him. Wani wasn't so cordial. She felt he'd done Mama wrong when he left us. I did hug him, though. Looking at Darcelle reminded me of Cartienne when she was a kid. That same reddish-brown hair, chestnut eyes, and full rose-colored lips. She was a little darker than us. In fact, the same complexion as Towanda. We all had variations of our daddy's features. He was 5'11", medium build with a broad chest, dimples, a huge smile, and beautiful eyes. I could see why women nearly fell at this man's feet back in the day. Even at 48 years old, he was handsome. He was 12 years older than Mama. Come on, girls. 7 daughters followed this man into the house. There was a crystal chandelier above our heads
and a marble floor in the vestibule. Beyond that was a winding staircase, and to the left is where the dining room was. Daddy led us to the right, to the living room where Marie Alice was. She was a petite woman, probably weighed about 120 pounds, very light-skinned, with auburn hair, in her mid-30s. She was the total opposite of Mama, who was a size 12, medium brown skin, with shapely calves and curvy hips like her daughters. Mama wore an afro and epitomized the sister girl image. She had me when she was 17. Even Shelby, Tessa's mother, was a sister girl with a curvy figure and a size 14. Marie Alice just did not look like Daddy's type. There were hardwood floors throughout the house, with area rugs in some rooms. It didn't take me long to realize this woman had a domestic worker. "Selena," Marie Alice called out, and a Latino employee at that, I thought. A woman in her late 20s came into the room. "Would you get the girls something to drink?" We were all sitting in the living room. Alice had parked herself between me and Towanda on the floor left seat. Darcel stayed close to Daddy. "What can I get you ladies? We have water, lemonade, Coca-Cola, cranberry juice, orange juice, Welch's grape juice, and iced tea." I swear I would not remember all she said, but I wanted Welch's grape. "You like Welch's grape too?" "My mommy buys Welch's grape all the time because I like it." Elise looked up at me and smiled. "Yes, I love Welch's grape, baby," I said, smiling at her and pinching her cheek. It wasn't long before Nikki started getting jealous of the attention Alice was getting from me. She told me that her name was spelled Alyse, but you pronounce it like Alize, almost like the Champs-Élysées in Paris. "Wow, you've been to Paris before?" I asked the little one. She sure was sharp for an 8-year-old. "Yes, twice. We toured there a couple of months ago when we did our international." Nikita piped in. Selena returned with the drinks. She went around the room with the tray, passing out the drinks. She remembered what everyone ordered. "We saw you girls on cable TV when you performed in Los Angeles. It was really nice. You ladies are so talented," Marie Alice said.
All 7 of my girls are talented. Alice and Darcel can sing, but Darcy doesn't like to sing in front of people.
"David."
"Alice, please. I'm bonding with all my girls now. This is a rare occasion. Will you please stop it?"
Nikki looked at me and grinned. I knew what that grin meant. We all knew Marie Alice was a control freak because he told me and Nikki, like she was sitting there monitoring our conversation right now instead of heading out to do a little shopping while we spent time with our dad. Alice started singing "You Are My Friend" by Patti LaBelle, and everything in the room stopped. She commanded not only the song but her audience. When she got to the breakdown, we all began backing her up. She sang and we came right in echoing her. And then she let out a note that would make Patty proud before following up with, "I've been looking around and you were here all the time." It felt like chills were going down my back and arms, and when she wrapped it up, we all clapped. "Wow, kid, you good." "She's great," Wani and Cardi said. "We need to record her," Tessa said, and I did not miss the look on her mother's face. I don't think Marie Alice wanted her girls involved in anything that had to do with black people. Although she was a black woman herself, whether she cared to admit it or not, I'd heard her father was French and her mother was also biracial, mixed with white and black. Even as light as my father was, We still look like black girls, including Mary Alice's precious daughters. You can never mistake them for being white.
Told you all my girls got musical talent just like their father.
Daddy boasted. He had been a club singer back in the 50s. He left Louisiana when he was 16 years old and came to D.C. without a dime in his pocket. But Daddy was a hustler. He made his living performing, and soon he landed a job as a Metro bus driver. Now he is a supervisor on the Metro Rail. He made sure Mama got a check every month for us. I will give him that. Nikki seemed more cordial towards Marie Alice than the rest of us. When she inquired about a painting on the wall, the woman proudly told her that she'd done the painting and began showing Nikki all the paintings she'd done around the house. Soon, they were on the lower level where Marie Alice worked on her paintings. The rest of us were not all that interested, and Towanda was definitely not interested. So, Daddy, I wanted to know if I could have the girls in my wedding next spring. Although it was a year away, it was time to get my ducks lined up because a year could go by quickly.
You know you don't even have to ask that, Yolanda. Of course they can.
Well, I still wanted to be respectful. I don't want Marie Alice to feel some kind of way.
She don't run nothing around here. She don't run nothing around here, and neither does she pay any bills.
Juanie, Tessie, and Cardi laughed at Daddy's statement. I laughed too. Cardi told me one night, Daddy told her on the phone that the reason he married her was because he did not want to father another child and not be married to the mother. So when she got pregnant with Alice, he married her.
So, which one of them are going to be your maid of honor, Yolanda?
I am, Cardi spoke up. She felt it was her right because she was the second oldest. I actually had wanted Juanie to be my maid of honor because there were times when I just couldn't trust Cartienne to be present when I needed her to be.
And you know I'm proud to walk my firstborn down the aisle. So when am I going to meet this Dion Davis? You know I got to make sure he's right for my daughter.
We can have dinner next weekend. Daddy stood, grabbed his empty glass, and went for his next drink. Ain't we recording next weekend? Oh yeah, that's right. Daddy, how about this Wednesday? I forgot we were going back into the studio next Saturday.
That's fine, Yo-Yo.
Daddy said, pouring himself another shot from a bottle that was near his lazy boy. Before we left, Alice sung for us again. This time Darcel joined her. Their young voices were precise and powerful. Darcel had so much soul in her tone, a lot for a kid so young. They sung Gotta Be There by the Jacksons. We were mesmerized. I could not get over how that talent was so strong in this family. Daddy had children by 3 different women, and we all had that gift. We hugged them. I gave Alice my phone number and told her to call me anytime. She'll be calling you every day. That's okay, Marie Alice. She can call me anytime. And baby, if I don't answer, please leave a message on my answering machine. Okay, Pumpkin? I touched her cheek. Darcel scooted near me and raised her arms for a hug. I knelt down and hugged her. The other older sisters hugged the baby girls, and we headed to the limo, where Rudolph was still sitting in the car. We'd been in the house for nearly 4 hours. It was almost dark outside once we left. Thank goodness the spring had begun, because Rudolph would have come to the house and out of the cold, and I know he would not have wanted to. flood of comments about Marie Alice burst through. I should have seen that coming. Tessa led the group as soon as the door shut. That little anorexic woman is a trip. Ain't she though? She's sitting there all trying to be proper, like she's better than everyone, like her daughters are better or something. So glad Dad is there to teach them not to be snooty. Towanda piped in. Oh, come on, y'all. Y'all are being too hard on Marie Alice. She ain't that bad. Oh, you shut up. You're only 12. Cartienne knew that statement would upset Nikki, knocking 2 years off her age. That's Nikki's new best friend, y'all. Wonder what Mama is going to say when she finds out you asked Daddy's wife to do your artwork for your upcoming album. They were all laughing at Nikki. I didn't laugh. I did think my sisters were being too hard on Daddy's wife, though. Mama's not going to say nothing. I do my own album like I want. And I'm 14, not 12. To Mama, you're still 12, honey. I'm so sorry to break it to you. Okay, girls, that's enough. I finally said. I hated the way they teased Nikki. She'd already been threatening to leave Uncle's label when her contract was over and go to McCoy's record label because they catered more to hip-hop music. And she wanted to strike out on her own. Okay, Mrs. Davis. Cardi, you stupid girl. You so stupid. Then Cardi and Tessa started out on me. Cardi crossed her legs daintily as if she was mocking me, but I did not mind them joning on me as long as they left my Nikki boo alone. Chapter 9, Back to Work, Yolanda Preston. Shooby-doo-dah, shooby-dah, shooby-doo-doo, shooby-doo-dah, shooby-dah. Shooby-doo-doo, shooby-doo-dah, shooby-dah. Shooby-doo-doo, shooby-doo-dah, shooby-dah. Shooby-doo-doo. When we were growing up, our love was special. We did not have much, but our friendship. For my sisters, Mom worked long hours, everything was sweet, and now a time to remember, like a beautiful day in September. Like a beautiful day in September. I sang the lyrics to A Time to Remember, a song for our new album titled as the same as the song. Our first album had been named after the group, but each subsequent album had its own name and theme. This album would be about our sisterhood. I say nothing can replace you. You love me, and I love you too. A time to remember, like a beautiful day in September. Wani was also recording on this album. She was part of the story of our sisterhood. A Time to Remember was a beautiful song indeed. It had a slow, moderate tempo, and Dion did amazing things on that grand piano, while those twins on the violins added such a soft flavor and mellow sound to that song, that would turn out to be one of my favorites. Nikki also featured on our album on the song Endless Road to Friendship and What I Used to Say. She was determined to rap and not sing, stands the reason she did not feature on A Time to Remember. She disappointed me when she made that move, but she was becoming more and more independent. She wrote her own material and had more to say and how her style of music should go. Dion complained to me one night that Nikki was picky and hard to work with at times. She truly frustrated my fiance. Unfortunately, Patrice did not have any control over her as she had over us. So what Nikki wanted, Nikki got. Whereas we were directed to go with Johnny, Patrice, and Uncle. Nikki's manager was a guy named Arrow, who had graduated high school with me. She used to call him her big brother. We always longed to have a big brother. We took a break after our third take. Patrice was in the control room with Beauregard, analyzing the song. I went down to the fourth floor to get a soda from the vending machine, a decision Patrice would definitely disagree with. She told us that drinking anything other than water affected our vocals, especially during our recording sessions. But I didn't care. I needed me a Sprite. I heard voices around the corner in the small waiting area near the lounge by the accountant's office. I was about to walk around there and see who it was until I heard who it was. So how much money do you owe, Scotty? I heard my sister ask. Like around 10 grand. What in the world were they talking about? And who did he owe this money to? I wondered. So can Norman give you an advance? Baby, he's gonna wonder why I need an advance other than the one we usually get. This is bad, Scotty. You gotta do something about this and quick. You don't have any funds you can let me hold, baby? I mean, come on, you know I'm good for it. You know I done broke you off, you know, buttered you up and stuff. Okay, I see what I can do, but just keep this on the down low, okay? What in the world was going on? I hid behind the wall when I heard them getting closer. They walked right by me and towards the elevators. I let out a sigh, but I will have to get to the bottom of this with my sister without letting on that I heard her conversation. If I told her I heard it, she would get defensive. I would bet my whole career that Cartienne knows what's going on. We headed back up to the studio. Patrice told us the song was okay, but wanted Tessa and Cardi to come in and add a few more ad-libs, and we would be allowed to go home. I was thankful I didn't have to go back in there. I had drank that soda, and I'm sure my vocals were not too optimum performance at this point. I sat out in the lobby, flipping through an ebony magazine. Wani sat across me. The elevator doors suddenly opened, and out stepped a curvy, tall woman wearing diva heels and a fitted green dress. She had a colorful shawl draped over her shoulders and was accompanied by a dark-skinned guy wearing a jerry curl who was 2 inches shorter than she was. People had begun wearing their hair like that. It was 1979, and many black folks were trading in the afro for that messy style. I hated the curl, as people called it. I cannot believe my studio time is being stepped on again, that diva complained. She had a powerful speaking voice, so I can only imagine what Girlfriend sounded like when she sang. She pranced toward the recording room area. I could see she was clearly frustrated. I think they're almost done, I spoke up. She looked at me as if to say, was I talking to you? Wani noticed that look she gave me, and she spoke up. Hey, she just trying to be helpful. You ain't got to get an attitude. Devalance, we'll just ask that our rate be prorated. The guy with her spoke up. That's not the point, Austin. Just then, Patrice exited the room and introduced herself. Hello, Miss Cooper. I'm Patrice Preston. I really apologize for the time, but we can go on and get started now, okay? The woman shook her hand and said, This is my manager and husband, Austin Reddick. I finally realized who she was. Deborah Lance Cooper. She sang at an AME church up in Northwest DC. She was iconic in the religious realm of things. Why is she recording in a secular studio? Don't church folks have their own recording studios? I soon realized she wasn't even recording a gospel album. She was recording an R&B album. Wow! My other two sisters met us in the lobby, and we headed out to the parking lot and piled into my brand new Mercedes. That Deborah Lance Cooper needs a foot in her behind. She don't be talking to our cousin like that. Patrice didn't even have to book her. What kind of Kool-Aid was Kennedy drinking to sign her to Uncle's label in the first place? Said Towanda, always one that wanna punch out a chick for being disrespectful. Kennedy was finding really good artists lately, and Deborah Lance was no doubt a great vocalist. But some of the attitudes coming from some of these musicians we could do without. So far, Uncle had signed on 6 new artists since we got started. I agree with Towanda. That woman is going to be a problem. Tessa said. I glanced at her through the rearview mirror. She and Cardi sat in the back, while Wani sat up front with me. Once we arrived home, I found Wani sitting in her room, and I told her what I heard earlier in the studio. You'll never find out what's going on. She told me she was going on 16, and within the last year, I can see she just blossomed and matured. She was less tomboy and more girly. Her basketball and Nike sneakers were collecting all kinds of dust in the back of the closet. She even had her nails done. You don't think Cardi would tell me? I asked. No, I don't. You know them two are thick as thieves, Yo-Yo. Come on now. Cardi and I had a close relationship too, but when it came to Tessa and Nate Devereaux, there were no wins. I guess it was because they were two of a kind. So what do you think is going on? If Scotty is involved, who knows? He's got so much shady stuff going on. I called Dion to alert him that one of his musicians might be up to something that could bring down the company. That was the least I could do. I told Dion to be on the lookout for Scotty's behavior. Oh, I'm already on it, babe. I know there's something going on. I told him that he better not be doing anything that would bring us down, and I mean it. Whatever's going on, he's very good at hiding it. Sweetie? Yes? Nobody can hide forever. Everyone gets caught. Everyone. At some point, he's going to get sloppy, and whatever he's hiding is going to be blown up. My fiance was such a wise man. I knew I could go to him. All I had to do was be patient. But my main concern was that my sister was wrapped up in whatever was going on, and that made me nervous. Dion and I ended up recording a song titled Will You Say Yes to be added to our upcoming album. He led the opening verse after we did a few ad-libs at the intro.
So much time we spent together, but now you're mine. It means forever. You're my girl, my whole
One of the technicians had turned our microphones to face each other so that we can look into each other's eyes while recording. We didn't even need any sheet music because this song was definitely from the heart. Once we were done, we embraced. He held me tightly, slightly rocking me from side to side.
Babe, that felt so good.
I know it did, didn't it?
That was superb,
spoke Patrice's voice from the sound room. That was great to hear. I wanted to go out with my man for lobster and shrimp. Once we got outside, he lifted me, spun me around, and we laughed all the way to his 1980 two-door BMW 320i. He bought that model as soon as it came out. It was still 1979, by the way. He opened the door for me and sped out of the parking lot, hitting I-295, Baltimore-Washington Parkway towards Maryland. Chapter 10, The Payoff, Yolanda Preston. We had endured a blizzard in January of 1980. All of our studio time for the last two songs of our new album had been postponed until after the winter. It was a good thing our dresses had been delivered the week before. We'd all gotten fitted back in November, and I told Cartienne and Tessa that if they gained 1 ounce before my wedding, I would disown them. Cartienne had been eating like a pig and sleeping more than usual. I know wintertime made you hibernate, but my sister was ridiculous. I headed downstairs and looked at the dresses for my wedding. They'd even delivered Alice and Darcel's dresses to us. My wedding colors was silver and white. All of my girls were wearing silver, but the youngest girls were white with silver waistbands. The phone rang. Tessa answered it.
Hello? Yolanda, it's for you.
I'm coming. I left the bar room and headed to the dining room. I took the phone. Hello?
Babe, guess what?
What?
Y'all been nominated for a Grammy.
No, stop. Stop joking.
Not joking.
Mama came out of the kitchen wondering why it sounded like I had lost my mind.
What is going on?
She asked, holding a spatula, standing there donned in a full apron over her denim dress. We've been nominated for a Grammy. Oh my God! I know my fiance was deaf by now. My mother erupted with joy and ran over and hugged me. The other girls ran downstairs, and when they learned the news, they hugged each other. The Grammys would be in 2 weeks. We couldn't believe we'd gotten this type of surprise. The phone beeped. I told Dion to hold on and clicked over. It was Uncle, giving us the same news Dion had. Yeah, we heard, Uncle. We heard.
Oh, you did, huh? That event is at Radio City Music Hall this year. Be ready. It's gonna be on, and y'all gonna win.
I could tell that he was feeling it too. So, Uncle, tell me, who are we up against?
You've been nominated for Best R&B Female Group. You're up against Tiger Lilies and the Stevens Girls.
Both groups were great. We'd actually been placed on the same level with them. We were going through a Simplicity magazine trying to figure out what we would wear. Madeline, our seamstress, had a crew of 4 working for her who would work around the clock for us. So we had no worries as to getting some last-minute outfits made.
So, y'all think we ought to dress alike?
Not sure if we should dress alike, but I think wearing the same color would work, I said. Yeah, that's a good idea. So, what color do y'all think we should go with?
I say we should go with green. Nah, how about blue?
Nikki and Wani went back and forth. The phone rang. Cardi went to get it. She talked very low before she said, "Okay, I'll see you in a minute." I still heard her, although nobody else did. The next thing I knew, she disappeared upstairs. I couldn't get away from the others fast enough before Miss Cartienne Preston had made her way to the front door and was on her way out. I hurried out of the dining room just in time. "Where are you going?" "Out." "Cardi, we're discussing what we should wear to the event in 2 weeks. Why is it so important that you go out? It's 25 degrees out there." "Yolanda, I'm 18 now. I can do whatever I want." By now, everyone either suspected or knew she was seeing Johnny. Uncle didn't like it one bit. Lately, the two of them hadn't been as close as they'd been before. I didn't say anything else. What else could I say? She had turned 18 a month ago. I hugged her. "Okay, sis, you just be careful, okay?" "I will. He's almost here." I watched her brazenly jump into his red caddy, and the car disappeared down the long driveway. We arrived at the event. The limo driver opened the door and we stepped out.
Hey, there's first delegation!
I heard someone yell out. Reporters and photographers were all over the place, taking pictures and speaking into cameras about the event. We were celebrities. We were larger than life. One thing Uncle wanted us to do was continue raising the bar, keep growing the game, and adding something that has never been done before. It was a lot of pressure, but it was paying off. We wore strapless dark blue evening gowns with pearl chokers and mink stoles around our shoulders. It was cold up in New York. We found our seats 5 rows from the front. Uncle and Johnny were overseeing everything, and Patrice was present. She'd been nominated for Best New Songwriter. Frontman, a New York rapper who'd been in the game for about 5 years, headed our way. He introduced himself to Nikki. We all took notice of what was going on. She wasn't even 15 yet, and Uncle was very protective of her. I saw Nikki giggle, and Uncle approached them. Frontman suddenly walked away. Uncle watched him disappear in the crowd. Nikki looked disappointed. Uncle said something to her, but she walked away. They went through each genre of music, country, jazz, and when they arrived at the R&B categories, I found myself getting nervous. Gladys Knight got on stage accompanied by her brother, Bubba Knight. They called our category Best Female R&B Group, Tiger Lilies, and a huge monitor on stage featured one of their videos, the Stevens Girls. We watched their video. They were a little older than we were, but they were quite good. And first delegation, our song Dance played, and a video of us dressed in colorful South African outfits like the ones at the ending of the Sarafina movie played on the monitor. I was in tears. I was nervous. I was excited.
And the winner is...
Bubba Knight called out as he opened the envelope. I looked over at Patrice and Uncle. They were not exhaling either. Cardi grabbed my hand and Nikki grabbed my other hand. We were all holding hands in our row. Bubba handed the results to his sister and she said,
First delegation, dance!
We were excited. Tears that I could not control rolled down my cheeks. We hugged each other before we approached the stage. Gladys hugged me first. Then she hugged Cardi, Tessa, Wani, and Nikki, as if she knew that was the order of birth.
Congratulations, girls!
We each held our own individual Grammy, and I spoke around tears of joy. Words cannot explain how grateful we are tonight. I want to first thank God for the gift of being able to sing and make others happy. I want to thank our mother, a strong and beautiful woman. And I want to thank our uncle and producer for making it happen, and Patrice Preston for being such a genius of a writer. And last but not least, we thank each other. We all engaged in a group hug and then followed by a thunderous applause from the audience. By the end of the night, we'd won a total of 3 Grammys. Best New Artist, Best Song, and Patrice did win Best New Songwriter. Uncle took us to an after party. Before stepping into the limo, the producer from McCoy Records passed something to Nikki. Uncle didn't see it. McCoy was the same label that carried Frontman. They were trying to steal Nikki from Uncle, but no telling what she told them. What was that? I asked once we were in the limo. She sat near the window, and I was right beside her. Cardi and Tessa were too busy drinking to hear our conversation. Nikki opened her palm and showed me the business card from the record label. Nikki, you can't.
Why not?
Okay, I shifted. Okay, you shouldn't. Nobody's gonna take care of you the way Uncle has. He's fair and he's honest.
And he bossy. He made me change the lyrics to one of my songs because he said it was too sexual.
You blame him? He's concerned about your image. Nobody else is going to be that concerned about your image, Nikki.
Listen, I don't need him to be concerned about my image. He told me he wouldn't allow me to record one of my own songs unless I changed it. He's controlling Yolanda. Can't you see that?
He has to maintain a certain level of control, Nikki. None of us could possibly know it all. He's in the business of music. Besides, you're too young to be writing lyrics that feature sexual content anyway.
Okay. Somehow, I knew you was going to say that.
She turned towards the window away from me defiantly. She was still as spoiled and rotten as ever, and stubborn. We pulled in front of the restaurant. Mama stepped out of the other limo with Uncle, Johnny, and Patrice. We headed to our reserved table. Tessa and Cardi sat next to each other, giggling and telling jokes.
Wow, y'all so silly.
Towanda told them maybe they weren't silly. They may have been drunk. Dion sat next to me, draping his arm on the back of my chair. I was marrying this man in 2 months, and I could not wait. We ordered food from the menu that I could not pronounce. Suddenly, Cardi ran to the bathroom, Tessa right behind her. I tossed down my linen napkin and followed them. My sister was hanging over the bowl, ridding herself of something that so violently stirred her insides. Tessa was kneeling beside her, rubbing her back.
So you ain't told them yet?
I heard Tessa say.
No.
Cardi spoke between pants. They didn't know I'd come into the bathroom.
You gotta tell them. You gotta tell them, Cardi. Does Johnny know?
Yes, he knows. I told him last night. Tears spilled from my eyes. Tessa finally turned around and saw me standing there. She knew I'd heard everything. Cardi finally stood, turned on the water at the sink, and began washing her face and gargling with water. I took a paper towel and handed it to her. Afterwards, I hugged her. Congratulations, sis. You're gonna be okay. She cried on my shoulder. I rubbed her back. It's gonna be okay, Cardi. Tessa stood nearby, probably making sure no one else from our family entered that bathroom, curious about why we were in there. I know I disappointed you, Yolanda. I know I disappointed you. Honey, I'm not disappointed. I'm not disappointed, sister. I just have to have Madeline make alterations to that dress. Yeah, I know. Me and Johnny, we decided to get married. What could I say? It was her life. Me, Patrice, or Uncle should not tell someone who to love or marry. Although I did not like the idea, I resigned myself to the fact that this was her life, and she was 18 now. I'm gonna be an auntie. I'm gonna be one too. Tessa and I sang to her, laughing to loosen the tension. We knew this was going to be a hard time for us. Cardi, we'll be there when you tell Mom and Uncle. We're not going to let you do this alone. Thank you, girls. Oh, thank you. We engaged in a group hug. Needless to say, Uncle was not pleased with the news.
Now I got something to say to Johnny about this.
He bellowed as the family had gathered in our dining room. Uncle, she's grown now. I spoke up. Mama was sitting there with tears in her eyes.
I'm not doing all this hard work for y'all to throw your lives away.
But Uncle, you're business partners with Johnny. I mean, he can't be that bad.
You are taking this way out of context, Yolanda. Business partners. But he should not be sleeping with my niece. 18 or not, she's too young.
Cardi started crying again. I'd never seen her so emotional, and I reached over and rubbed her back. Uncle, all I'm saying is that this cannot be undone. We have to move on from here, and I hope this doesn't affect your relationship with Johnny either. Johnny was still a good manager. He'd done a lot for our group. At least my sister had finished her education before this happened.
I know what kind of man Johnny is. And to answer your question, no, he's not good enough for my niece. There, I said it.
Things got quiet. Soon, we were leaving the dining room one by one and going into our own little caves. I didn't need all this going on in less than 60 days of my wedding date. I found Nikki in her room, listening to Cheryl the Pearl blow away this one song on the radio. She was lying on her stomach on the bed, looking at nothing in particular. I sat on the bed next to her, put my hand on her back, and said, "Are you all right, baby girl? It's just too much drama going on around here," she said without even looking up at me. "I know, darling, but it's still family. Sometimes family can be the worst." I didn't say anything. I knew she couldn't wait until her contract was done before leaving NP Records. She finally turned over on her back, looked up at me, and said, "That was a bad move on Cardi's part. Now she's stuck with that Bama for the rest of her life." She said they're getting married. Another bad move. Well, what can we say? Other than be there for her, she's our sister. You know what, Yo-Yo? What? If it wasn't for you, this whole family would fall apart. You keep it together to keep us all together. Aw, thank you, sweetie. No, I'm serious. No, for real though. Because I can write a whole song just about you being a big sister. Okay, so you got Tessa in the group. You always diffusing arguments. You accepted Daddy's Other Kids by Marie Alice, and although you don't like what Cardi did, you're not judging her. But I was tired of being mediator, tired of being the go-to person for advice. I I know I was the oldest, but sometimes my hard-headed sisters drained me. Towanda was the only one that was no drama. You know, no drama, Towanda. The rest of them didn't listen, and when they found themselves in a waterfall of problems, they lost their minds. And I still hadn't found out what Tessa and her no-good boyfriend were up to. He was looking a little bug-eyed at the Grammys. I suspect that fool is on drugs or he's doing something extremely criminal. Dion advised his behavior would catch up with him, but in the meantime, he could bring my sister down. Chapter 11, Just Say Yes, Yolanda Preston. My wedding day was April 26, 1980, 4 days before Nikki turned 15. It was held in Mama's great big backyard. Dion and I will be spending our honeymoon in Mexico. I had never been out of the country other than performing, so this would be so special. There were at least 50 white tables draped with white tablecloths with white name tags of the guests inscribed in silver. Each table had 4 chairs around it. There were silver flowers on each table with silver cups. I was thankful the day was sunny and warm. A canopy where Dion and I would take our vows was before the audience. My sisters helped me get dressed, and Lydia, Patrice's sister, flew up from Alabama. She and Wani were the same age. I looked in the full-length mirror. Madeline did a wonderful job on that dress. Cardi was 4 months pregnant by now. She wasn't really showing much, and Madeline altered the dress in a way where you could not even tell she was pregnant. My sister had eloped with Johnny. Uncle was still not feeling it, but he didn't seem as angry about it as he had a couple of months ago. Daddy was disappointed, however. The bodice of the dress was straight with puffed sleeves and it widened below the hips. My youngest sisters came into my room. They were looking so pretty. Both had long spiral curls that hung down their backs. Alice was the first one to say something to me. You look real pretty, Yolanda. Aw, thank you, baby. Then Darcel decided she would pipe in. Normally, she didn't do much talking unless Alice talked first. How old are you? Darcel tilted her head all the way back, looking up at me. She looked so cute in her eyeglasses. It made her look studious. She didn't like wearing eyeglasses until I showed her a photo of me and Towanda when we used to wear them. I'm almost 20. In September, right? Right, you remember. And mine is May 6th. I'll be 9. My father took my arm. My sisters had already been escorted down the aisle, and my husband-to-be stood at the altar waiting for my arrival. My dad looked down at me.
Ready?
Yes, Daddy, I'm ready. He and Dion had a good relationship. He said he believed Dion was an honest man. Daddy was a pretty good judge of character. As I headed down the aisle, Dion turned around and began singing to me. The audience was captivated. I could not hold back tears. He sung the first verse and the chorus of Will You Say Yes? As I arrived, my father released my arm and I stood next to Mr. Dion Davis. The minister then began performing the ceremony and we said our vows.
I, Dion Cree Davis, do take Yolanda to be my lawfully wedded wife, to love and honor, in sickness and in health, until death do us part.
I, Yolanda Alouette Preston, do take Dion to be my lawfully wedded husband, to love and to honor, in sickness and in health, till death do us part.
By the power vested in me by the state of Maryland, I now pronounce you Mr. and Mrs. Dion Davis. Sir, you may kiss your bride.
Dion lifted my veil and gave me the most passionate kiss ever. We walked down the aisle towards the audience, arm in arm. The reception began right after. My sisters performed a song for us while the photographer and videographer took photos and videos. And when Say got on stage and sang, I was blown away. Somebody needed to get that child into a recording studio quick. I saw Uncle sitting at the table and all of his attention was on her. I could hear his thoughts right now. Her mother sat next to Dad, smiling. She had to know her girls had a gift. Soon, all the guests were up dancing and partying, and I would not have guessed in a million years who would catch that bouquet when I tossed it. I turned around. Nikki stood there holding it. We all laughed because we knew that was not happening anytime soon. I was having the time of my life. We headed to our flight that night and to Mexico. We visited all kinds of places, but I could not in a million years guess what awaited me once we returned home. Chapter 12, Back to Reality, Yolanda Davis. Rudolph was waiting for us when we arrived at the airport. We hopped into the limo. Before he pulled off, he spoke to us through the partition, telling me that my uncle wanted him to take us to my mom's house.
Nah, man. Nah, that ain't gonna work. We way too tired for that. You need to take us out to Charles County where we live.
Dion insisted, but he insisted that it was important. Did someone die? I asked. What happened? Rudolph said that he was not at liberty to say, but whatever it was serious. I wanted to know more. Dion and I looked at each other. His face was riddled with concern. I was feeling the same way. We couldn't get to Mama's house fast enough. All I could imagine was the worst. We pulled in front of the house. Towanda greeted us at the door. She looked fine. Didn't look like she'd been crying or anything. What's going on? I asked. It's bad. It's real bad, Yolanda. We walked into the dining room. Cartienne, Nikki, Uncle and Mama were all gathered in the room. The only person missing was Tessa, and I imagined the worst. My knees buckled, and I found a chair and sat down before I hit the floor. Everyone looked forlorn. Towanda sat down next to me. Without a word, Uncle slid the Washington Post my way. Right on the front page was the story. NP Records artist arrested on drug charges. My heart sank to my feet when I went on to read that article. Musician Scotty Robertson was arrested for distributing narcotics on Thursday afternoon when a police officer pulled him over for a broken taillight. The arresting officer suspected there was drugs when his canine partner began reacting once he stopped the motorist. I didn't read anymore. I couldn't. I handed the paper to Dion and he read it. Scotty was in jail because he could not post the $1 million bail. So, what happens now?
This is the type of publicity we don't need. He is no longer employed with the company, and neither is his girlfriend.
Was all Uncle said. I knew what that meant. But Uncle, what did she do? Was she with him when he was arrested? No, she wasn't. Then what gives? It's not her fault. Uncle took the paper from Dion and slid it my way and emphasized something that was going on there.
My company name is on this article. Do you know what that does to my rep?
Cardi began crying.
I cannot allow her to continue with this company. It's too much attention. Babe, although she was not with him when he got arrested, her name was mentioned and that he dated one of the singers of First Delegation.
Dion explained he had read the entire article. My heart was in pain, a pain I could not describe, neither had felt before. During the conversation, I realized she'd begged Uncle to remain with the group, but he was not yielding. He told her that for now, she would have to leave the group until all the bad publicity died down. I called her once Uncle left. I had to. She was my sister. Hey, I just called to check on you. Yeah, she said. I could hear the tears in her voice. Tessa, I'm so sorry, girl. I just feel like Norman never wanted me in the group to begin with. I always knew how she felt. She always said she felt like he didn't care for her as much as he did his real nieces. That really wasn't fair, though. He compensated her, having wrote her a severance check and sent her on her way. So, what are you going to do now, Tessa? I found me an apartment. I'm just going to lay low, for a while. But Yolanda, all I know how to do is sing. I have no job skills. I cried with her. It would be tough. Uncle's label was hot. Every new artist was trying to get on board. 2 years ago, it would have been easier because he was looking for talent. Now he was more selective in who he would sign on. Listen, Tess, if you need a place to chill from time to time, you can always come over. I have 3 extra bedrooms. I know. Cardi's already made the same offer. Thanks, Yolanda. Chapter 13, Motherhood, Yolanda Davis. Cardi gave birth to a handsome baby boy on October 16, 1980. She named him Johnny Earl Hutchinson Jr., after his father, of course. 6 months later, Dion and I were blessed with a baby girl. We named her Diamond. During this time, we had to take a break from the studio. I had a complicated pregnancy, and Cardi was experiencing trouble in her marriage. By the summer of 1982, we were ready to get back to recording. Well, at least I was. I left my daughter with my mother and headed up to the studio. My uncle had moved the studio to Wheaton, Maryland because DC was getting bad. The day was sunny. It was in the middle of June, one of my favorite months. I headed up to the 3rd floor. I loved this studio much better. Uncle was not only housing a place for music production, but there had been talk about launching a sitcom. So there was a TV studio set on the 1st floor. This building had 6 recording rooms, each with a conference room, 18 offices for producers, A&R, board members, accounting. I even had my own office.
Hey, it's good to see you, Yolanda. Ready to get back to work?
Uncle said as I stepped off the elevator. His office was on the third floor, and it looked like he was headed out. By now, 15 different groups and solo artists were signed to our label. The business was flourishing. Hi, Uncle! I hugged him, gave him a kiss on the cheek.
How's that pretty little girl?
She's walking now.
Yeah, I heard. Queenie told me. I'm sorry I haven't been over lately. You know I've been running for months now.
The last time he'd seen Diamond, she was 4 months old. It's okay, Uncle. I know you're busy. I'm just glad to get back to work.
So am I. Love you, girl.
Love you too, Uncle. He kissed me on the cheek and stepped onto the elevator. And he was gone. Again. Wani was already waiting for me, going over a new song Patrice had given her. We were working on our third album. The second album did just as well as the first, but Uncle and Patrice were pushing for better. Our second album was about our sisterhood. We won 2 Grammys for the second. Now the third album focused on relationships. Where's Cardi? I asked Wani.
Beats me. She ain't here yet.
She shrugged, continued studying the music. She had replaced Tessa. We were in the middle of producing our second album when Towanda replaced Tessa. I missed her so much. Patrice made it into recording room 3, joining us.
Where's Cardi?
That seemed to be the question of the day. She's on her way, I spoke up. I really didn't know if she was on her way or not, but I had to find a way to cover for her.
We're way over time, and Wicks will be here to record in less than an hour.
Well, recording room 5 is still available, isn't it?
He is scheduled to record with me, Yolanda. He's supposed to be recording with me.
I knew Patrice was assigned to room 3. I knew she would not use another technician space, although her father owned the building, because she was respectful in that way. She was a true Southern girl who was raised to be that considerate. Wicks entered the area. He was wearing a pair of khaki pants and a plaid shirt with wireframe eyeglasses. I almost laughed. I'd heard he had a really great voice, but this boy needed to change his image.
Hello there. Is Patrice Preston here?
He asked, seeming surprised I was in the room. She's down the hall. She'll be right back. I glanced at my watch. You don't start for another 45 minutes, right?
I like to be early. I'm pleased to meet you, by the way. I'm Wicks. I just got signed with NP Records about a month ago.
Welcome to the company. I shook his hand. Hope you're successful.
I hope I'm as successful as you and your sisters.
He clutched a notebook, probably his songs. He hadn't noticed Towanda at first, until she stood up. She'd been sitting in the corner quietly, now reading a magazine. His eyes widened and his mouth dropped open. I watched him with amusement. He hurried over to her with an outstretched hand.
Hi, I'm Wicks. You're Towanda, right? I'm so pleased to meet you.
I braced myself, knowing my sister was about to chew this bama up and spit him out. The last thing you wanted to do with Towanda was show how goofy and nerdy you were. But I was wrong. When I saw my sister smile and shake his hand and say,
I'm Towanda Preston,
I was blown away. Her warmth towards this guy was something strange.
I've been hoping to one day run into First Delegation after they sign me. You ladies are phenomenal.
Oh my goodness. He was talking way too much. I wanted to scream at him to quit while he was ahead. I watched the train headed in his direction and was helpless to stop it.
Well,
Congratulations on getting signed, Elle. By the way, what is your first name?
Lionel. But L. Wicks is my stage name.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I thought about using a stage name, but I'm part of a group, and I'm not even the lead singer. Yolanda is.
And a beautiful voice you have. I love your voice on A Time to Remember. I love the way you delivered your part.
Thank you, Elle. Or should I call you Lionel?
Whichever you prefer. Just don't call me late for dinner.
I knew he'd screwed up. One thing my sister hated, and that was corny jokes. Again, I was wrong. She laughed. She actually laughed at this corny little fritter. He stood about 5'9", only 3 inches taller than she was. He was lean and wore moccasins. Really? And Wani was actually digging this dude? Cardi finally made her way to the studio.
Sorry I'm late.
You're really late. We're stepping on L. Wicks' time over here.
Oh, that's okay, ladies. You go ahead and take all the time you need. I'm not doing much today anyway.
Are you sure, Elle?
Yes, I am sure.
I guess as long as he was in the same space with my younger sister, he was pleased to wait as long as it took. Cardi removed her lightweight leopard print shawl and rested her matching leopard print purse on the one chair. One thing she didn't rest were those shades she wore. Patrice made it back to the room. She'd been reviewing Devilance Cooper's new album with other producers in the conference room. Are you ladies ready?
Yes.
The name of the piece we were recording was called Next Time.
Ooh, take it from the top, take it from the top. I won't sit around waiting on you while you're out on the town with someone who you barely even know. Just because I said I want to take it slow. So baby, just maybe I'll see you on the next go round.
Cut. Patrice stopped us before we hit that second verse. Speaking to us through the microphone, she bellowed, "What is going on with you, Cartienne?"
Nothing.
I need you to get up in that register on the next time part, okay?
Okay.
Next time, take 2. It took 4 takes for Cartienne to get it right. This just wasn't her. She'd gotten better, but not as good as we knew she could be. Patrice decided to fine-tune the part. She hated using auto-tune, but this would have to do for now. She had another artist to record right after us. L. Wicks was still sitting in the waiting area of recording room 3 when we stepped out. "It's all yours now, Mr. Wicks," I said.
It was so nice meeting you again.
"Same here." And under my breath I said, "Desperate fool." Patrice exited the studio. "Elle, do you mind waiting a few minutes? I just got a message to call my dad. I'll be back." I became concerned. "Is everything okay?" "Oh, yes. He probably wants me to handle something for him, that's all." I headed towards the elevator. Cardi was by my side. It was not until the elevator doors opened that I realized we'd left Towanda behind. I walked back up the short hallway, and there she was, sitting in the waiting area, talking to L. Wicks. "Wani, you coming?" They sat in the small leather armchairs facing each other, and I'd never seen my sister that comfortable talking with any guy. She was usually tearing them down verbally or fighting. Just then, it dawned on me that Towanda was turning 19. She'd outgrown all of that. What was I worried about? "Nah, y'all can go ahead without me." "Oh yeah, that's right. You did drive over here." I caught up with Cardi standing at the elevator. Once we stepped on, I said, "Are you okay, sis?" She turned towards me and slowly removed her shades, exposing a black eye. Fury rose within me. "I would kill Johnny! Did you tell Uncle?" "No." I hugged her. We found a private place on the first floor to talk. There was an empty office that didn't belong to anyone. We went inside and locked the door behind us. I hugged my sister while she shook with tears. "Cardi, how long has this been going on?" "Since I was pregnant with JJ. And now I'm pregnant again." That news shocked me. I did not know what to say. Yo, I don't know what to do. He almost made me lose my first baby. I haven't told him I'm pregnant again, and he's using cocaine. And I know he's cheating on me. This was a lot to absorb. My sister had been suffering in silence. I couldn't let her stay there. I didn't want her to lose her unborn baby. "Cardi, you can stay with us?" "I can?" "Yes. Come stay with me and Dion. He won't mind. I'm sure of it. We can't let you go through this by yourself." "I do love him, Yolanda, though. I do." I had to be a little firmer with her. I told her, "This ain't love, Cardi." But then I had to be careful. I remember the last time I tried to talk some sense into my sister. It only made her draw closer to that Bama. But she couldn't stop me from telling Uncle. "Okay, I'll grab some things when he leaves out tonight and I'll be over." I waited until nearly 11 that night and my sister still had not shown up. I was getting worried. I kept calling her house. She'd answered at 8 and said she was on her way, but she did not answer the 3 subsequent times I called.
Babe, maybe she decided not to come and didn't want to disappoint you by telling you that.
"No, D. I'm just hoping Johnny did not do something to her."
He's not that crazy.
"I did tell you about the black eye, right?" I spun around and said, "I'd been pacing the floor while he was relaxing on the sofa. He seemed so cavalier about this whole thing. I know his job was to protect me, but he had to understand how much I love my sisters."
Babe, you'll see her tomorrow at the studio.
"I'm not sure about that. I don't." He stood, approached me, and took me into his arms.
Sweetie, stop worrying. You should know by now that your sisters are going to do whatever they want to do, no matter what you say or try to do to help them out.
He was right. Now that Nikki had given Uncle her 3rd album, per their agreement, she was on her way to McCoy's label. No matter what anyone said to her, she did what she wanted. She was now 17. It was just a matter of 10 months before she turned 18. The inevitable was looming over me like a heavy storm cloud. The phone rang. I ran towards it desperately. "Hello?" It was almost midnight. "Yolanda, it's me." "Cardi, where are you?" "I'm at home." "Are you still coming? Do we need to send our driver over there to get you?" We lived in a country house surrounded by acres of land. "I got tired. I'm just tired." "You know it's not too late to just still come tomorrow, right?" "No. Me and Johnny are going to try to work it out. He apologized. I don't think he'll do it again. Plus, he said he has something really big in the mix for me." That struck a chord. Big things like what? I was more focused on the big things than I was with her working it out with this Bama. "About my singing career." That kind of made me nervous. Are you planning on breaking off from the group? There was a long pause. Well, no, not really. Cardi, what big things is Johnny promising that's made you change your mind? Change my mind about what? Coming to stay with me? You don't remember our conversation this afternoon? Yolanda, that was your suggestion, not mine. Oh, Cardi, are you kidding me right now? No. Like for real, Cardi? No, you were the one who said I should come and stay with you, remember? And you agreed. Well, I'm just gonna try and work it out. Like I told you earlier, I love him. Okay, guess I'll see you at studio tomorrow. Okay, just please understand where I'm coming from, Yolanda. I want my marriage to work. You're happily married. I want that too. Okay, I'll support you either way. Just remember, sis, I love you. Love you too. Bye.
At least you know she's okay, babe.
Dion said the minute I hung up. I told him about our conversation.
But tell me, what would be wrong with her going solo? You ought to go solo too. I keep telling you that. You got Wani wanting to get into acting now that we have our own studio, and Cardi talking about Johnny launching her solo career. Babe, that might not be a bad idea.
Uncle is not going to like that.
Your uncle needs to grow with the changing times. Like rap music is blowing up, and so is Nicki. You don't want to be left behind. Besides, your uncle should start embracing rappers.
I considered what he said. First delegation was about sisterhood. I didn't want that to change. Maybe we could all go solo and reunite at some point.
You girls are on your third album, and y'all are blown up beyond belief in such a short time. May as well ride that wave while everyone still loves you.
I had just turned off my lamp and closed my eyes when my nightstand phone rang. What now? Then I thought it might be Cardi calling. She could be in trouble. I picked up.
Hey, Yolanda!
Towanda's voice sounded like she was wide awake, and there was noise in the background like she was at a party. Wani? Now it was strange that she would be calling me this late. Of all the grown sisters, she still lived at Mama's house, and I know Queenie Preston was not allowing her to throw a party at her mini mansion.
Yeah, girl, what's up?
Wani, where in the devil are you?
Oh, I'm hanging out with Elle. I'm using his mobile phone. I'ma get me one of these things. Man, they're neat.
Elle Wicks?
Yeah, girl. Yeah, he's cool to hang out with. Don't let his appearance fool you.
I almost laughed. Are you at his house?
No, we're at a comedy club. You and Dion should come down here and join us.
No, thank you. I got studio tomorrow, and so do you. We got 3 more songs for this album.
Girl, loosen up.
But I was happy she found a young man to hang out with and have a little fun. She was the only one who hadn't found a boyfriend or a husband. Even Nicki called herself dating front man. I didn't like him, but that wasn't my choice. It was hers. Okay, Wani, have fun. I'm going to get some sleep, girl.
Okay. I'll tell you what he told me tomorrow when I see you at the studio.
All right, Wani. Good night. Patrice told me to pick up a trombone from a club out in Calvert County on my way to the studio the next day. I went to pick it up, and who did I run into as I stepped out of the club? Tessa? She had just stepped out of a 1973 dark blue Pontiac. She turned around. Hey, Yolanda. I'd been trying to call her, but her phone had been turned off. Even Cardi hadn't been able to catch up with her. Girl, I've been trying to get in touch with you. We hugged. How are you? I'm making it. So, what are you doing all the way out here? I work at this club. I perform here in the evenings. I suddenly grew angry with my uncle. Because he fired her, she'd been relegated to sing in nightclubs. That's what people did before landing a contract at a record label. She should not have had to sing in nightclubs. I knew she was still getting royalty checks from the albums. Her voice was still on those first two albums. And I was thankful Uncle was fair enough in that regard. But I felt punishing her in this way was just way too harsh. I have twin girls now. They're 9 months old. Oh, congratulations. I have a little girl. I know. I saw y'all on the story of Essence magazine a couple of months ago. She was speaking of the article titled First Delegation, The Trials of Music and Motherhood. It had a picture of us on the front cover, all dressed in sleek red dresses with me in the middle. The three of us were holding hands. Oh yeah, that article. You should have been on that cover with us, Tessa. Well, what's done is done. Do you have a picture of your baby? Yes! She finally perked up for the first time. She reached into her purse and pulled out the photos. There were two curly-haired girls with big button eyes and bright smiles. Oh, they're so cute! Can I give you my address? Please send me a picture of the girls. And can I have your phone number? I don't have a phone right now. I wanted to volunteer to get her a new line, but I didn't want to feel intrusive. I could see she seemed a little distant, as if she wanted nothing to do with anyone affiliated with Norman Preston. Who could blame her? What my uncle did was hurtful. What are the girls' names? Dawn and Noon. Oh, that's interesting. I love it. I went into labor at dawn and I delivered at noon. Wow. That's so cool, Tessa. I hugged her. Please don't be a stranger. I won't. I gave her my number. Please call me when you can. You can even call me at work. I'm about to get a mobile phone, so you'll be able to call me anytime I'm out. I will call. I will call. I got in the car. I felt so bad for her. She'd had those babies pretty much alone, without any of the sisters there. At least Cartienne and I had been there for each other during the birth of our children. Maybe this is what Tessa meant when she said she felt like she was the odd sister out. She never felt like she belonged. So when Uncle fired her, it was easy for her to go away because she never felt like she fit in to begin with. And that's when motherhood began, with the first three daughters becoming mommies, one right after the other. This was only the beginning.
So, what did you think? Isn't that Cartienne something with her little frisky tail? Anyway, I'm glad you're still here and I hope you enjoyed it and have a wonderful weekend and be safe. Okay? All right. Bye bye.